I will never forget Natalia or the choices that were made that night.
I wish I could just pick up the phone and call her or just text her and tell her how I miss her.
Me and my sister, we looked forward to a lot of things, to graduating high school, to getting married, and being each other's, maid of honor.
Natalia was gone in a whisper. There was no warning, no goodbye, nothing.
Natalia didn't plan for this to happen, and in no way would want for us to have to go through this grief and to live out the rest of our lives like this.
I've always looked up to my sister, and the way she did things was amazing. So when I saw what she did, I knew I wanted to be just like her, like when she tried out for cheer.
She was an exciting cheerleader. She was really amazing. She was always full out, always had energy, always knew her material.
When I saw her cheering at the games, I was like, I wanted to do that. It looks so fun, and everyone becomes so close to each other that I would want to do that.
She was the person that was bubbly and sassy, and her personality always shined through.
She was definitely a person that I could tell everything to and who would help me with a lot of my problems.
People gravitated towards her. She really just loved to entertain and know people and observe people. She was a bright, shining star. She really was.
Natalia was a go-getter. Natalia wouldn't settle for no. She did everything and wanted to experience life.
She always talked about the future. Everything from what she was going to wear to the prom, to when she was going to drive, what kind of car she was going to get, where she was going to college, but she had very defined goals.
Natalia was getting ready to celebrate her sweet 16 birthday in a week. It was just like any other day. We were having fun and laughing and shopping.
We were just relaxing. My parents went out, and I remember my sister, she came in from her room, and she goes, "How do I look?" And I like, "You look beautiful," and I gave her a hug.
Natalia had gone out with her friends. We were under the impression that an adult was driving, but an adult was not driving. A child with a provisional license was driving. At 9:45, she sent me a text and said, "We're on our way home, Mom." And my last words to her were, "Okay."
Before the car crash happened, I heard that there was loud music playing.
There were young girls living life and enjoying a little bit of freedom.
The driver was inexperienced and was driving very fast.
There were distractions in the vehicle. At the time that the car was being driven, one of the passengers was using their cell phone, and they were using some sort of a social media application.
And the driver happened to look back at a critical moment in the turn of the road, and when she looked forward, there was no hope. She hit the tree straight on.
I'm a firefighter. I've been doing this for a long time and a public servant, and we tend to think that it's not going to happen to us. That's our job. That's what we do.
And we were driving up to the crash thing, and we didn't know what was going on. And my dad made me and my mom stay in the car, and we were really scared.
I see the lights, I see the accident, I see the vehicle, and the vehicle is ripped to shreds.
I got a call, and they said, "We need you to get down to the hospital. They're transporting Natalia to the hospital." And, even now it just gives me chills, that call again.
And that bed, like any hospital bed, is there, and you can see the sheet. You can see a white sheet covering somebody. That's Natalia.
And Chris comes to me, and I have a million questions. I'm saying, what happened? Can I see her? Is she okay? What injuries does she have? What are they doing? And he looked at me, and he said, "She's gone."
What? Like, the girl I grew up with, my own sister that I grew up with, is gone. The one that we used to play all the time together outside. That's what I thought of as soon as he said that.
There are no words for losing a child, and how that affects your other children, how that affects their friends, how that affects their grandparents. It's a hole. It's a loss. It will never be recovered.
The passing of Natalia has changed us, from our holidays to our get-togethers to just sitting around watching TV.
It takes a moment to make a bad decision, but that bad decision that you make in that moment can have a lifetime of regret and pain and anguish.
Natalia had made a bad decision and a bad choice to go with someone who did not have the proper license and experience.
I do believe that there were things that everyone could have done to prevent that accident from happening.
That they weren't on their phones, or if they were actually paying attention to the road and going the speed limit.
Getting behind the wheel of a car is probably the most dangerous thing that a young person is ever going to do in their entire life. Really, the teens are the ones that have the power to change the statistics. Your parents can't be there with you when that decision time comes.
I'm hoping with her message that she will continue to change the world in a way that we hadn't expected.
They're gonna hear her story, and someone is gonna go, that girl was amazing, and look at what happened. I'm not gonna let that happen to me. I'm not gonna let that happen to my friends. I'm gonna be that person that says, hey guys, we're not gonna get in this car. I'm not gonna ride with you, sorry, you shouldn't be driving.
I don't want them to feel like they lost it all because of one decision. I don't want anyone to feel that pain. It's a horrible pain.